Oh.
What?
Oh, please. Please watch this.
Okay. Your character's dumb.
It says to jump, and he's jumping.
I had that happen earlier. I've cleared all of the dungeons. I've done everything available to us other than these 4 blue quests that I have no idea where the fuck they could be and I'm not going to bother with. And or I'll finish them sometime next weekend. We come back when playing another character. So I'm gonna make a druid. I want to play a druid, but I don't think I want to play anything else.
But I wanted to play a druid.
Okay.
Play 2 druids. Yeah. I got to keep playing my Sork to carry. Whatever way. I'm back next weekend and mess with that, and then I'm
not playing the barb to carry. That's for damn sure.
It'll be fixed. Copium. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty good. I hit 600 attack power, which I feel like is okay. I have 148 int. 65 of that's coming from my weapon.
Diablo numbers.
Yeah. I hit for like 1.3k when I crit, and I crit every hit because they're always frozen. I don't have a cooldown on my main skill. I'm literally running 2 skills. 2 with skill points in them. I think this works. I don't know. I think all 3 Sork elements look cool. I think that fire is... Okay, I somehow think fire is lacking in AoE, which seems completely wrong for fire to be the one lacking in AoE. But compared to what I've seen from lightning, which lightning can do the same thing my cold was doing, by the way, where you literally just run around and don't actually hit a single button yourself after hitting your one like lawnmower start button. And then you just run around zapping everything. And you just keep running, you just keep zapping and winning. But like fire was like actively pressing multiple buttons, removing the hydras up, putting the firewalls down, getting the dots down.
Hoping the hydras hit.
Yeah. But like if you're on a single target, it seems like it's honestly lightning's probably still better on a single target. Because it just you just infinitely lightning off yourself, at least from what we've got in the beta. But I don't know. I mean, there's no doubt this Sork's the best to play right now in the beta. Even though I feel like today all I've seen is rogues running around.
It's funny.
I feel like rogue feels the best to play though because it's smooth as fuck and moves like it looks like it moves like a madman.
Some people level 2 characters.
Yeah.
Even 3, sometimes 4.
Why would you need to though when you've already got a Sork?
Not have to respec Sork. Just make 2 Sork. Smile.
Yeah.
That is one thing I giga hate, is that like, especially late game already, the gold costs for respecking have gotten to the point where it's like, and like if that keeps going up, late game respecking is gonna be fucking
it costs
actually costly.
To be honest, I feel like they need to remove that.
But that's a core design concept for them though.
Yeah, and it needs to be gone.
Yeah. It's going. That is one of the things though they're using as a way to fake how deep the game is though, by making people re-level the character, because they know as the person making the game doesn't have enough content if you just have one character. Which
I don't know. So like when we actually get the full game, we're gonna have all of the stuff that we have in the beta, and to be clear, all of the stuff we have in the beta is
nothing.
renowned stuff. It's the renown of Act 1 is what we have in the beta.
Yeah.
Like the quest line and the renown of Act 1. We're going to have the quest line and the renown of Act 2 and of Act 3, and there's 5 acts, right? So that seems like a large amount of hours to put into, because like we put in like 20 hours, I'd say. Of actual playtime, it was more like 10
It's probably been about 10.
to get this. And like, granted, this was our first time. We're gonna do it much more efficiently next time. But like,
I'm talking about for a player that's hasn't played a beta, that's just buying the
yeah,
game and
I think
showing
like
up.
in terms of just doing the renown stuff, like that's 40 hours of content, probably more like 60 hours of content, honestly.
Yeah.
And like 60 hours of content from just the renown stuff is probably enough content for like someone buying the game, not at $100, but someone buying the game at like $70. If they got 60 hours of renowned content, and then there's going to be additional like the nightmare dungeons to farm to like perfect your build. I don't know. I feel like there's barely enough content, but I do feel like there is enough content.
I'm gonna be
Never
honest.
gonna
I've
be
played.
enough.
I've played 10 hours, right? Well, or maybe 15. Played 15 hours. I feel like if I played for 5 more hours, I'd have no more reason to log in. Which I guess is fair for the beta,
Yeah, for the beta.
but
Like, but there will be more stuff, namely the nightmare dungeon. Like, not a whole lot more stuff, but like there'll be a little bit more to do in the end game of like the actual game. So, like,
I think that it's. I agree. I mean, the whole point is we all agree is that it's dumb to have to pay to respec.
oh yeah, that's giga dumb.
That is a concept from decades ago.
Yes. This is bad. Well, another thing that is not on, but gonna be on later on is the PvP. PvP add so
Mhm.
much fun to the game.
PvP is
And a
only
lot of depth.
PvP
like,
is
in-game.
only going to add content for 1% of players.
I mean, like at least 10%.
Yeah, probably at least 10%. Because it's gonna be for farming.
Yeah, but
I don't know if you check, but there is a coin.
yeah, I mean it was supposed to be cosmetic though, the reward.
Oops. Oops, it grants character power.
I mean, I think that's fine. I think having people need to do some PvP is good. But I think that if given the option, if the character power isn't like a massive percentage, that most of the community will just not touch it. So, and they won't only not touch it, they'll also incentivize every other player to not touch it because they hate on it. Because people hate PvP.
There is a subsection that does hate PvP, yeah.
But what if it were the most lucrative thing to level and gear your character?
Well, then the system's going to be dismantled at the seams because people don't like
People
that.
are going to complain.
Yeah. It might launch that way, but it won't stay that way. Even, like, I'm also of the opinion that it should stay that way. Or at least be a really viable way to gear. I think if all you want to do is interact with PvP content, that you should be able to play the game as well as anybody else, but whatever. Don't even think there's 5 hours of content skeleton in D3. I'm pretty sure when people played the D3 beta way back when and it was up to Act 1 up to the Skeleton King, people milked that shit for probably 10-20 hours. There's actually quite a bit up until the Skeleton King in D3. If you're moving at the pace you moved back then, which is slower than even this pace, characters moving, abilities firing, killing monsters. There are also a lot more monsters to work your way through. in early Diablo dungeons.
Something that I don't know. I feel about the open world. I feel like in dungeons, I feel like the mob placement is fine. I feel like it's pretty much you enter a room. There's an elite
There's way
with
too
some
little
smattering of doom.
at the. I gotta throw it in at the beginning of the dungeon though. It's way too empty.
Yeah.
You walk for like
Yes.
5 screens, 6 screens without finding a mob.
Yeah, but once you're like actually into the dungeon proper, it feels okay.
I still think it's empty. I think
There is a lot of walking.
I think out of we're on world tier 2. I assume it's probably gonna get bigger. I've seen dungeons with more mobs in them from the closed beta. So like,
Allegedly,
there's like, it gets better, but it's like, I think things just need to be packed. I think your ARPG mobs need to just be fucking getting blown up. Even if your character and your abilities aren't fast, the amount of mobs you need to be killing then needs to be bigger. Because if you're going to move slower and have combat be slowed down, the amount of monsters you're killing at least needs to be compensated. I'm not trying to run through PoE the game where I kill 5 monsters and get my ass beat every other 5. I don't know.
it feels, and then in the open world, it doesn't feel like the mobs. I've been trying to find a way to describe this, but it doesn't feel like the mobs in the open world are there to be found. It feels like they spawn in slightly off screen and then chase you. It doesn't. It feels very gamey. The packs of mobs out in the world. It doesn't feel like the mobs are like naturally existing in the world, and then we go out and kill them. It feels like they're like almost spawned in slightly off screen in a portal and then come and attack us. I think that has a lot to do with their aggro range being a lot larger because we're supposed to have a mount when we're going through the open world.
Yeah.
And so that might be fixed from when we get a mount.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna complain about that because I just acknowledged that's a mount problem. I think I said something about that while you were like away eating or something. But
possibly.
Yeah. It feels like a lot of the stuff in the open world will feel a lot better if you just have a mount. So, again, that's just a part of being able to review the game right now is really fucking hard. Because we don't have the game. We're playing a fucking tech demo. What do you think about D3 so far? D4 so far from a D3 Paragon Speedfarmer leaderboard ranker standpoint? I hope none of those words that you just said after Diablo 3 exist in this game. Is how I feel.
Also, I don't know that leaderboard ranker is necessarily the perspective.
I mean, I have been for a long. I mean, I was for a long time.
Yeah.
So, and we still take ranks on a leaderboard. So I guess like still play in the top whatever minuscule percent of players.
Yeah,
so,
but
like,
we don't
actively seek it.
We're not Wario or Rascal or LeBron or Nav.
I mean, but they don't do the other part of that though.
Yeah.
I don't know. From the perspective, from my
Rascal's a blaster Paragon
from my perspective,
for 3 rifts.
from my perspective, run it back. Run it back. From my perspective, Diablo 3 is a way better game right now.
Yeah.
Diablo.
Than this?
Let me finish.
No
Let me finish. From my perspective, Diablo 3 is going to be a way better game than release date June 6th Diablo 4. For me, Diablo 3 will be the game that I would have more fun playing. Even when this game is fully released on the 4th. But it won't be because this is a new game. Diablo 3 is not a new game.
Yeah.
From any of the systems of Diablo 3, I'm fine with this being a new game. That's why it's good. The only things that I wish to see in this game that is unclear yet is if the game is going to get faster. with seasons. The game is obviously not going to be that much faster when we get to the end game. It's out there. People have seen the game at end game. The game's a lot slower than Diablo 3. I would like to see it get faster over the game being out. But if it doesn't, there are other ways to compensate. So like, it's fine, honestly. In my opinion, it's going to be fine. What about Greater Rifts? We already know there's going to be a Greater Rift-esque system. And I think that the sigils for dungeons and stuff, that's just a more modern end-game dungeon crawling system. So, that's fine. We're going to get a scaling dungeon system at some point. I think they already told us it was going to be called Hell, scaling down Hell or something. Way back when in a dev blog. Maybe they scrapped that idea, or maybe it's still going to be coming out, but we're going to get a system like that. And I think a system like that is required at some point. Again, it doesn't have to be here at release. It can be thrown in later. But I'd like to see it. And in terms of leaderboards, I hope to never see them in this game. For anything. Not even for PvP. I don't want leaderboards for anything. I think it basically ruins the ARPG. So I'd like it to just not exist.
I feel it's good for PvP.
But if you put it in PvP, people are gonna want it other places. So I'd rather just not touch it.
Wait, what?
If you bring one leaderboard into the game, it makes people start thinking about why don't I have a leaderboard for X? And I would just rather not put one anywhere in the game. That was the option.
I feel like
A
lot of the...
you're not thinking about the purpose of what kind of content you are doing.
I get that.
You get a lot of the benefit of a leaderboard through like a third-party system, and you don't necessarily need it to be in-game, because I think having leaderboards in-game breeds a lot of toxicity and a lot of like very, very strict meta adherence and very, very degenerate strategies.
I actually think that's one of the good points of PoE is the fact that their leaderboard is on their website but obscured and for Delve, and nobody knows how to get to it half the time. And the same thing for their racing, for like leveling in PoE and stuff like that. Those things they're there. You can find them if you want. But people don't live or die by them. And
Because it sucks.
And it's
literally nothing to do with it. It's not like it's not competitive at all, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's fine. PoE doesn't have competitive leaderboards, and that's good. I think that's a good point for PoE, is that there aren't everywhere. So people but
there is a difference between what do you enjoy about the game and what the games actually are in the market right now. Because if you look back in the day when PoE was released, there's still people playing Diablo 2, Lineage, that kind of game. They never had a leaderboard. But on the actual games, you have ranking for everything.
Yeah, and I think that in the ARPG genre, they cannot, and it'd be successful still. I think that...
I feel for PvP, like I don't know, Arena, Coliseum, wherever you wanna add to the game is fine, because incentivate to use that PvP stuff.
I think that if you're going to have a leaderboard, PvP is the only place I would put it.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem with doing that though is that you put the idea of an in-game leaderboard for other things other than PvP into people's heads.
Yeah, especially since
Like
there
what?
are a lot of people.
Faster is just like
Yeah.
a point.
Or a higher tier.
Yes, the people these have already been things people have already said in my chat alone, and I've seen in other chats people wanting already leaderboards for clearing X certain dungeon out in the world faster.
Spoilers, in my opinion. You don't prove anything with that. It's not like you 1v1 someone with that.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying is by adding that into the game, it makes
sense for me in PvP because you are
Yeah.
literally doing a 1v1 or 2v2.
Yeah,
whatever, fighting and all
I'm
that,
totally
but-
agreeing with the reasons for why it's good for PvP. I'm just saying that means that people would want it for other stuff, and like you just said, it's pointless. Because all it does for like this certain dungeon is breed a meta for each dungeon, and if you don't bring that there, people just are toxic. I don't know. It just breeds a toxic environment. I think it just makes a toxic environment. It does it in PvP, but because of the way PvP is structured, it's going to happen.
To be clear, it does breed a toxic environment in PvP, but
That's why
PvP is a toxic
that's
environment
what I said.
by its nature.
Yeah, so like that's why it's like that. You just accept that about
You don't
PvP.
need a leaderboard to be toxic.
Yeah, but for like basically, if they're gonna put it anywhere, PvP would be cool. I think that's cool. Other places, I don't want to see it. After experiencing it, and this whole came back from the person asking it from my perspective, somebody in Diablo 3, I don't want to see it. So, there. Did I answer the question? He's probably already gone. I rambled. It's fine.
What? Nah, no. Rambling and then ultimately rambling,
And it wasn't for
tangents.
rambling, and it wasn't for Snickety.
Look, I'm very concise with my words and deeds and actions and thoughts and
I'll come back in 2 hours when he
ideas.
finishes this thought.
Okay. But really, what is the nature of thought?
Yeah.
And how do we define rambling? If the subjects that we breach off into are themselves interesting, can it really be called
If they
rambling?
bring back Unlimited Paragon +5 main stat, I will blow up my PC.